Hola chicos, bienvenidos a mi canal Español con Juani y en la clase de hoy vamos a ver los miembros de la familia. So today we're going to go through something that's very basic but also at the same time something that's really important, learning how to say the different names or describe the different names of your family members. Now, the reason this is important, obviously most of you are going to be talking about your family members quite a lot, especially if you're someone like me, someone that has a big family but also someone that's quite close with their family members as well. So what we're going to do today is we're obviously going to go through and learn the names of your different family members in Spanish, but also stick around because we're going to learn how to make comparisons between different family members of yours, but also it's something you can use just to make comparisons in general between different people. So first, let's go through how to say the specific names of your family members, and let's start off with the basics. Now, these first few examples you should know. For example, how would you say my dad? Yeah, nice and simple. Mi padre, so mi padre. Por ejemplo, personalmente, Barry is mi padre. So Barry is mi padre. All right, how about my mum? Yep, nice and simple. Mi madre, so mi madre. Otra vez, personalmente, Daphne is mi madre. So Daphne is mi madre. Now, if you're describing them both, you'd say mis padres. So mis padres, or Daphne and Barry son mis padres. So Daphne and Barry son mis padres. All right, let's move on to brother. Okay, so how would you say my brother? Yeah, you should know this one. Mi hermano. So mi hermano. Por ejemplo, Glenn is mi hermano. Or how would you say my sister? Yep, mi hermana. So mi hermana. So you simply change the O at the end over to an A to make it my sister. So Tanya, por ejemplo, is mi hermana. Now, if you're describing your brothers or your brothers and your sisters, okay, you'd say mis hermanos, so mis hermanos. However, if you only have sisters, so if you're only talking about your sisters, in that case, you'd say mis hermanas, so mis hermanas. Now, what about uncles and aunties? Cool, you'd say uncle, mi tío, so mi tío, or my auntie, mi tía, so mi tía. Again, just simply change that O over to an A. So you can see it's pretty simple in Spanish a lot of the time. Or if you're describing, again, my uncles or my uncles and my aunties, okay, mis tíos, so mis tíos. Or if you're just talking about your aunties, mis tías, so mis tías. All right, what about this one? Okay, my cousin, or for those of you in New Zealand, one of the cousin bros. So how would you say my cousin? Cool, mi primo. So mi primo, or if the cousin you're talking about is a girl, mi prima. So mi prima. Okay, now what about your nieces and nephews? Let's start off with your nephew. So mi sobrino, or mi sobrina. You guessed it, mi sobrina. Again, just changing that O over to an A. Now another really important one, okay, my grandparents. So my granddad, mi abuelo. So you would have heard that one, mi abuelo. Or again, you guessed it, mi abuela, if you're talking about your grandmother, or if you're talking about both, mis abuelos, so mis abuelos. Now everyone, let's change it up a little bit. Let's now talk about your in-laws. Now moving on to your in-laws. My father-in-law, mi suegro, so mi suegro, or my mother-in-law, you guessed it, mi suegra, mi suegra. Now, what about your brother or your sister-in-law? So my brother-in-law, you would have heard this one, mi cuñado, so mi cuñado, or you guessed it, my sister-in-law, mi cuñada, so mi cuñada. Now, for those of you that have kids, okay, like myself, I've got a son, for example, so I would say mi hijo, so mi hijo, or if I had a daughter, I'd say mi hija, so mi hija. Now, for those of you who have grandkids, okay, grandson, mi nieto, so mi nieto, or nieta, so nieta for granddaughter. All right, everyone, now that you know the names of your different family members, let's now look at how we can make comparisons between different family members of yours or people in general. So let's make some comparisons now. So for example, if I wanted to say, I am the most handsome of my brothers, okay, no bias of course on my end, okay, what I'd say is, soy el más guapo de mis hermanos. So, soy el más guapo de mis hermanos. Or another example, I hope my dad's not listening because he won't appreciate me saying this, but if I was to say, my dad is the oldest of the family, I'd say, mi padre es el más viejo de la familia. So, mi padre es el más viejo de la familia. Or let's flip it around. My youngest niece, for example, is the youngest or the least oldest of the family. So you could say, Cora es la menos vieja de la familia. So Cora es la menos vieja de la familia. O sea, ella es muy pequeña, or ella es la más joven de la familia. Alright everyone, so I think you're starting to get it now, the formula of how to make these comparisons. So let me give you a few exercises, and again I want you to translate these over to Spanish for me. So the first example, my mum is the most loving or affectionate person that I know. Cool, so you'd say, mi madre es la persona más cariñosa que conozco. So, mi madre es la persona más cariñosa que conozco. All right, next one. Brent is the best of my brothers. Cool, so you'd say, Brent es el mejor de mis hermanos. So, Brent es el mejor de mis hermanos. All right, let me give you another one. My cousin is the worst of the family. Cool, so you'd say, mi primo es el peor de la familia. So, mi primo es el peor de la familia. However, what if the cousin you're talking about was a girl? How would you say this exact same sentence, but talking about your cousin that's a girl? Yeah, you guessed it, so you'd say, mi prima es la peor de la familia. So, mi prima es la peor de la familia. So, just notice there how we're saying mi prima es la peor. So, la peor, because you're talking about a girl. Alright everyone, nice and simple one today. So remember what I always say, consistency is the key. So keep practicing, keep learning, keep improving your Spanish. As I always say, over a long period of time, if you stay consistent, believe me, you will start to see a difference in your Spanish. As always, if you got any value from this video, please consider hitting that like button or consider subscribing if you haven't already. And apart from that one, I'll see you next time. Hasta pronto.